and then you can go whenever.
Hello, friends. I'm Carson French here with the Victor Voice, and I'm here with Mr. Thering, our assistant principal. Mr. Thering, how are you today?
I'm doing amazing. How are you?
Good. Thank you for being with us.
Thanks for having me.
Yeah. So, for those who are unaware, could you explain the new late policy that we have here at the school?
Absolutely. After COVID, during COVID, things changed. Obviously, some of the rules were a little bit more laxed with half the population coming in certain days, and so some of the rules changed. And so a big part of getting back to school and getting back to basics and getting back and making sure you're on time and being punctual and really getting our students ready for what comes after high school, whether it's military traits or a job or college. Getting them punctual and organized and being on time, this is part of what that is trying to get students here on time so they're not late to school.
So this was something that was put in place before COVID and then was stopped during, and we bring it back up
Not
now?
necessarily this exact policy, but there was a policy for lates and tardies. And so, we started implementing it this year as we're trying to get back to a normal year, a normal structure and routine for students, because we all know that students thrive in structure and routine.
Yeah, definitely. I know a lot of people have this question. Do the lates reset quarterly?
They do.
They do?
As a matter of fact, every quarter they reset. We try to be a little bit lenient because this is the first year that we've done it. As you can see on my backboard with the policy, it's not till 3 tardies unexcused that there's a consequence. And we truly believe that in order for students to be successful, they need to be here and be in class doing the work. And so that's part of our philosophy, is getting students here on time.
What inspired this change back for this year?
As I previously mentioned, just making sure that students thrive in structure and routine. We lost a lot of structure and routine, not only in school but in our lives and daily routines with COVID. And in order to get back to where we were before COVID as far as structure and routine, and ensuring that our kids have a leg up on other schools, other districts, as they go to apply for jobs, they're showing up on time, they're punctual, they're organized. And so we really feel like we're trying to support our students long term in that goal and getting them to where they need to be on time.
So just getting ahead of the curve with other schools and students was kind of the big picture, getting us ready for college and stuff like that.
Getting us back to structure and routine, and yes, getting students ready for whatever comes after high school.
Okay. How does this administration feel about the rollout of the new policy?
So I can only speak for myself. I won't speak for my colleagues, but I think we all feel that it's fair. There's flexibility up to 3 unexcused tardies. Now, people who are late because they go to doctor's appointments or whatnot, those are excused tardies. So I think there's a little bit of confusion there. If you're late 3 times, that there's going to be consequences. It's really unexcused tardies, which means there's no note, there's no reason, and under New York State, they give a list of reasons that fall under excused. And so as long as a tardy falls under an excuse, that doesn't count towards the 3 unexcused tardies.
Okay. Have you seen a significant change in the amount of late students are getting since this new policy has been rolled out?
Yes, absolutely. We've seen a drastic increase in students arriving on time. If they're late to class, that's up to the teacher discretion to give the kid a warning, the student a warning, or potentially write them up if they're constantly late. But as far as getting to school late, we've seen a drastic decrease.
Do you know what teachers have been writing up for? Has it been 5 minutes, 10 minutes late? What's the range of time?
After the bell. Anything after the bell is considered late. And we feel that in our building we have 5 minutes to get anywhere. And if you can't, it's just a simple question to an adult, hey, can I have a pass because I was working on this assignment to get to my next period class. Okay. So in some ways too, we're urging our students to advocate for themselves a little bit.
Okay. And how are you tracking this data?
So again, as I mentioned, we're tracking tardies unexcused, so that means coming into the building late. Even if you have a late arrival, you're coming in late from your late arrival. Our attendance, when you sign in, it tracks the time, and then every week the administrators check their list of how many. Once they hit 3, then they're considered tardy unexcused, and we go from there.
Okay. Should the student body expect more rules and stuff like that with the new policy?
Anytime there's a rule or policy change, it's typically communicated out like it was by Mr. Siesto in the class meetings. Typically, it goes out through Parent Square, so parents are aware. Students are aware. We send it out on announcements, through emails. So we try to communicate the best we can. I would say, middle of the year, it's hard to change a lot of things unless we're seeing patterns that are really disrupting the educational environment. Typically, there's not huge policy changes. But again, we are trying to get back to normalcy before COVID and provide our students with structure and routine so that they can flourish.
So if things got worse, there would probably be some changes in the...
I think we would look at it as a whole, not just administratively, but staff and we would look at it collectively. Yep.
Have you received any complaints from the student body about the new policy?
It's funny you should ask. I haven't received one. I would be lying if I said that. There has been multiple students who have complained about it. They've complained about traffic. They've complained about I was only a minute late. At the end of the day, our doors open earlier than 7:40. They open earlier than 7:25. So if they're driving, they can get here earlier, and they certainly have a place to do some work prior to class. But again, we're trying to instill good habits in our students so that they have the structure and routine to be successful after high school.
So even a minute late is still considered a late?
Yep.
Okay. We have heard from a variety of students that have exceeded the amount of lates, and some of them have not been called down. How do you respond to people who find this unfair?
So first off, there's a lot of, it's excused versus unexcused. So some people may say I was late, 3 times. Well, if they were at a doctor's appointment or there's a doctor's note or it falls under a New York State excused absence or tardy, then they wouldn't fall under this policy. So in every situation, every student situation is very different. We have kept consistency with the policy and unexcused tardies. So I would argue students who have not been called down, sometimes they may be 3 unexcused tardies, let's say on a Wednesday, but the administrators don't get to it the next day. It's really, we do it week by week. So you could exceed the 3, the 6, the 9, the 12 in one week and not get called down until the next week.
Okay. So if you get called down, the punishment is detention, correct?
It depends on how many times you've been tardy. If it's 3 times unexcused, it's an activity period detention. 6 times, it's a 1-hour detention with a parent meeting.
Okay.
9 times, and you can see it right on my board. I don't know if you guys can get a shot of that. 9 times it keeps going up. 2-hour detention. 12 times Saturday school, and anything past that is if you're a senior, a loss of driving privileges or additional Saturday school detentions.
And then what is the punishment for if you skip out on said detention?
So if you miss detention without a valid excuse, it does go to the next consequence. So if it was an activity period and you skipped out on it, it goes to a 1-hour detention.
And the parent
and
meeting?
so forth. The parent meeting wouldn't be attached until you're at 6 tardies.
Okay. All right. Well, thank you for your time, Mr. Therian. That was great.
Thanks for having me. Hopefully the student body got some clarification around the new policy, and hopefully we can move forward and people will arrive to school on time.
Awesome. Thank you.
Thank you.
I'm Carson French with the Victor Voice, signing off.